Welcome to a brand new episode of Colombo Fashion Forecast. Let's see what we have in sight for today. It's going to be really exciting as usual. A chat with an interesting person, Kurt Rolfs. Langdale Bayamaya, in the pleasant climes of the lush green Nurillia. Women in Management presents Blooming for a Cause, Fashion with a Purpose.
Dynasty Residence is an apartment complex boasting 18 stories of luxury residential apartments. Dynasty Residence includes single, double, triple and 4-bedroom apartments, duplex style, sky villas and penthouses with private sky gardens.
Beautiful Sunday, and we are about to meet someone who's very interesting, multi-talented, and his name is Kurt Rolfs. And looks like he's rolling up right now in his special tuk-tuk. Hello, Kurt.
Whoa. How are you?
Good morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
How are you?
Good. Good. Tell you what, why don't we go upstairs? I've got a roof garden in one of the penthouses.
All right, so we'll have a nice chat with Kurt on the roof garden.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go. What a gorgeous view. We are 23 stories up and it's amazing.
It is. This is one of the best views, I think, in Colombo. You see everything.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place to be.
I've been here about 6 years now and I've just seen so much happen. So many new buildings come up and everything else.
Yeah, the development is great. And Kurt, so we want to know so much about you and all your different adventures and all the things that you have expertise in, where you have traveled a long journey and you have end up in Sri Lanka paradise. You have been here for 6 years now. And just tell us a little bit about your past and where your interesting adventures all started.
Well, it all started, I was born in the state of Oregon. My father was a German national, and I was born just before Pearl Harbor. So when the war broke out, they took all of the Germans that had German passports in America and they put them in internment camps, alien internment camps.
Wow.
So literally, my mother being American, I was American, we ended up spending 4 or 5 years in an internment camp in Crystal City, Texas. And I've actually been back there. And they've had reunions and everything. There's only about half a dozen of us who were kids at that time that are still alive. And I grew up in Oregon, was in the Boy Scouts, and went out camping and hiking and fishing and everything else.
Definitely the thing to do in Oregon.
Yeah, or do it out here as well.
Yeah, oh yeah.
50 years later.
Yeah.
But the thing is, then I started traveling. After I went to Syracuse University, after the University of Munich. And then I joined the American Peace Corps. And I ended up on the island of Yap in the North Pacific as a radio supply officer. My job was, I had a first-class radio license, thanks to the Peace Corps. And they, 3 times a week I had a radio net for the outer islands. I had volunteers, I'd set up radios on outer islands, 300-400 miles out in the middle of the ocean, little coral atolls.
Wow.
And then I got kicked out of the Peace Corps, actually, because I took a raft trip from Guam to the Philippines. They didn't like that. I got caught in a typhoon. And when I got back to Guam, they kicked me out. And I had to get kicked out. I couldn't quit, because then I wouldn't get the money that they'd put away for me. Couldn't get it anyway, because I would have had to gone back to Washington, D.C. for what they call an exit interview. And I ended up, after I traveled all over the islands and said goodbye to all my friends in the Peace Corps, I ended up in Tokyo, Hong Kong, and then Vietnam. And I was a combat photographer for United Press International in Vietnam for a little over a year. And I'd saved up enough money to buy a sailboat. I was going to go to Hong Kong and I was going to build a sailboat and sail around the world. That was my next project. But the night before I left, I'm sitting in the Press Club bar in Da Nang, and there's this gorgeous blonde sitting there. And I got to talking to her, and she'd been in a singing group. And but because of the Tet Offensive, this was like 3 weeks after the Tet Offensive, and everything was still shut down in the country. And her group had broken up, and everybody else had gone back. But she decided to stay because she could make good money over there. And she was just looking for someone to form a group with. And I said, look, I put myself through college for 4 years doing country, western, and folk in a group. And she said, well, look, I got this redhead from Las Vegas, this friend of mine down in Saigon. Why don't we get her in? So we got this really nice looking redhead from Vegas. I had this blonde from Hollywood. And we formed a group. I had a 14-inch waxed mustache at the time. We called ourselves the Mustache and Us. And we spent almost 9 months entertaining the troops. And we made a bundle. I mean, really, much more than I made as a photographer. And then I went to Singapore. And, to build a boat to sail around the world. And in Singapore, I met my wife. And unfortunately, she passed away 4 years ago from cancer here in Colombo.
So
but we were together for 40-odd years. So then I bought a tuk-tuk. After she passed away, I had nothing to do. I came out of retirement. I started doing stories and pictures for Serendip magazine, the in-flight Sri Lankan Airlines magazine.
Correct.
And I've done like 40 stories for them over the last 3.5 years.
Wow. And what was your most interesting story?
The most interesting story is probably kayaking 200 kilometers down the Mahavali Ganga.
Sounds very adventurous.
The first time that anybody done that because of the war. And they just opened it up again. And we had 4 commandos and 2 kayaks with us, armed with AK-47s.
Nice.
And there were 5 other kayaks, and we all got in, and we went all the way down to Mutar, down to the Bay of Bengal.
Okay.
And that's probably the longest story I've done. I've done Mutar Rajavela, the bird sanctuary.
Wow.
I've done the oldest wooden bridge in the world, which is up north. I've done springtime in Norelia, all the flowers blooming.
Oh yeah.
I just finished one. I was down south the last 4 days, all the way to Yala and back, and I was doing it on prawns, Sri Lankan prawns. And I got in a little outrigger boat with the local guy that has the prawn and crab traps. And we spent about an hour going through the mangrove swamps, pulling up nets, putting them back, pulling up nets, putting them back. So I did one on Unawatuna Beach.
Yeah, this was your most recent project.
That was it, the prawns. I just turned it in yesterday.
Wow.
And I got one of the best chefs in Unawatuna, the hotel, to prepare 3 prawn dishes for me. And I mean, these were magnificent. He did a great job. I'll show you some of the pictures when as we're going back. But that's it. I mean, during my last 50-odd years, I've been bitten by a lion. I've been bitten by a moray eel on Saipan. Huh. I've been run out of air in a cave in Thailand, scuba diving.
Wow.
Had to buddy breathe for 10 minutes to get back to the surface.
Oh my goodness.
I got wounded 3 times in Vietnam when I was there as a photographer.
Wow.
I've got a lens that has a bullet hole that big in it to save my life. I was in the helicopter sitting on the side when 1 round came through the side, and it hit the front element perfectly, saved my life. If it would have been a centimeter either direction, it would have gone right through me. So I obviously didn't have to buy a beer at the press center for months after that. That's as close to buying the farm as you're going to come. I bought the tuk-tuk 3 years ago, exactly 3 years ago.
Yeah, and it's fully equipped and in mint condition.
I've got a complete kitchen I can take with me. Unfortunately, I mean, I've made it. I've got everything I need for camping. I've got tents, I've got a complete kitchen, I've got everything. But there's no campsites in Sri Lanka. Like in America, you can get in your car and you can go and go and go and pull over, and they've got toilet facilities, they've got water, they've got everything, right? Here, I mean, you pull over, you're likely to get run over in the night by elephants. The potential in Sri Lanka is unbelievable. I mean, there's so many things that nobody has done here yet. compared to America, Europe, even South America. And it's one of the most beautiful countries I've lived in. When I was in Singapore for 31 years as a professional photographer, filmmaker. And during that time, I also worked for a New York agency called Gamma Liaison. And they would send me on assignments all the way from New Zealand up to Nepal. So I was a well-traveled photographer. I had a big studio in Singapore where I was doing product photography, TV commercials, that sort of thing. But then I'd get these assignments to do the entrepreneurs of Burma. And I'd have to get on the phone and call these guys because they'd already done the story and make an arrangement to go up there and photograph them as the entrepreneurs of Burma. Indonesia, Thailand, I did entrepreneurs for Forbes magazine.
Oh, that's great.
And that's what I used to do. And then I'm the expert on what the Malaysians call the Orang Mawas, which is the Sasquatch or Bigfoot of Malaysia. I've got a file that thick. I photographed footprints 16 inches long.
Wow.
In the jungles of Malaysia.
In Malaysia, okay.
And whenever I was living in Singapore, and whenever someone would come through doing a story on the Yeti or one of these creatures around the world, they'd look me up. And we'd sit there and over a beer, we'd talk about, the footprints and all of the sightings. There's been over 150 sightings of these things in Malaysia in the last 100 years. I did newspaper research.
Wow.
And I thought they disappeared because they've torn most of the jungle down and they planted oil palm. And yet, in southern Johor, 2 game wardens saw one of these creatures 2.5 years ago. So they're still there.
Wow.
They're now living in the oil palm plantations.
Wow, very interesting. And so Kurt has been to how many countries now?
Okay, according to the last count, 203.
203 different countries. And
well, countries, territories, that sort of thing. So countries probably 80 or 90.
Okay, that's definitely an amazing thing, and you've had quite a journey, I think. And for Kurt to say that Sri Lanka is one of the most beautiful places is definitely a compliment, because it's not called Sri Lanka Paradise for nothing.
Absolutely.
You know, the pearl of the Indian Ocean.
Well, I've traveled almost all of the country, and in 6 years, and 3 years on the tuk-tuk. And I've never felt threatened. I've always met friendly people. I've never been in any trouble, so I couldn't say that in Malaysia 100%, but I can say it about Sri Lanka, that it's a great place. And everybody's friendly. I mean, I'm one of the few European tuk-tuk drivers, of course.
That's correct. Well, I think we'll definitely now head back down and go for a little joyride in the tuk-tuk. But
okay,
yeah. But don't give me the keys, because I'll take off and I won't come back.
I guarantee, no keys.
Good morning, I'm here at Lingdel by Amaya, and it's a beautiful morning. I'm really enjoying my atmosphere and the environment that I'm in, and I'm about to have a nice hearty breakfast because I'm gonna go check out the tennis court later on. What a beautiful setup here. We've got fresh fruit platter, and along with an assortment of bread basket, which we've got waffles, croissants, toast, and everything's all made here fresh from the kitchen. And to complement that, we have some maple syrup, orange marmalade, and strawberry jam. We're off to a great start today. Juicy and sweet. A hearty breakfast, but not too heavy because I am gonna hit the tennis courts after this. Let's see how it tastes. I really enjoyed that breakfast. It was so delicious. The food, the service, my environment, a perfect way to start off the day, and I'm very enthusiastic to see the tennis court after this. Wow, what a scenic tennis court. I'm so excited to play. This is a grass tennis court with beautiful surroundings, and it's been ages since I played, so don't laugh at me. Done with tennis, and now it's time for a good hike through the tea estate. Wait, heads up.
Dynasty residents include single, double, triple and 4-bedroom apartments, duplex-style sky villas and penthouses with private sky gardens. The duplex sky villas have been designed to provide optimal privacy and comfort to its residents. Each bedroom offers shading from the rising sun in the east while offering the added benefit of storage. The duplexes consist of the master bedroom with ensuite bathroom, other bedrooms, both dry and wet kitchens, each outfitted with state-of-the-art equipment. Dynasty Residence is truly an oasis of tranquility.
Day of exploring, hiking, possibly playing tennis. Very good way to unwind is definitely in a jacuzzi where it's got herbs and flowers, and of course the jacuzzi jets definitely help. So I think I'll use this time to unwind and relax the muscles a bit. So I'll catch you later.